It is the Wave 97.9 WHAV, and we have in the studio with us Ken Quimby Jr., running for Ward 4 City Council, and he's in the preliminary election, and it's going to be taking place on Tuesday the 9th of September, and there we go. So, Ken, thank you very much for joining me today.
Thank you very much for having me. I appreciate this opportunity, Win, and I listen to you guys every day.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Now, Ken, we have some questions already prepared, so I'm just going to run them down, and we'll take your answers for that and let you go from there. Ward 4 is home to Holy Family Hospital in Haverhill, Holy Family Hospital Haverhill, and what existing services do you wish to be retained there? Which ones would you advocate to be added or brought back? And how would you vote if housing or another use were proposed for part of the building or campus?
Okay, as far as the housing there, I would vote no. We need to keep that hospital open. I was one of the persons that went to Boston, brought petitions to the governor, Healy, to fight to keep it open. But I'm disheartened. I'm really still upset about it. When Lawrence General bought him, I thought it was going to be a full capacity hospital. We need to have that hospital full at all times. I know they're moving some of the stuff to Holy Family Methuen, and if I'm elected, I want to keep fighting. I want to see all those floors filled to capacity, no matter what. Even for like if somebody would like to have a baby, bring that back to Haverhill. We had the old hospital on Buttonwoods Avenue. As a kid, I was born there. So that is some of the things I want done there, and it's great. They're going to do something for people with that have trouble with memory loss. We need to do that. This also with people with mental disabilities. I'm all for that. With mental illness, we need that also. So I want to see that hospital filled to capacity if I'm elected.
All right. Now, city councilors have previously heard concerns over a lack of sidewalks and pedestrian crossings, and perhaps the need for better traffic signals for drivers and pedestrians alike. And what improvements, if any, do you believe are needed, and where?
All right. Some of the improvements are being done as I speak. They're doing great. But you know what bothers me, Win, is some of the traffic lights. When you push the walk signal, people are still taking a right turn even though it says yield to pedestrians, and it's not enough time for them to walk, he or she. And that's an issue. I don't know if it's so much as a city issue. It could be a state issue. We need those to readjust that. And with the bridge being done down the road, it's going to be more chaos down there. But I just work on it as a team effort.
All right. Now, are you in favor of a new Whittier Tech building on the campus of Northern Essex Community College? And if Whittier Tech does relocate, what's the best use for the current Whittier Tech campus?
The current one, to me, I would demolish it because it's too much money to put into to rebuild. And I voted against it, and I'm not afraid to make that as a statement. Great for being at Northern Essex. I think it's a better asset and a better spot for that to go there instead. And I hope it happens. Now, the other communities around us, well, we're going to have to duke it out with the other cities and towns. But I think Northern Essex is definitely the spot. The current location, like I just said, I would not even renovate it.
Now, is the rural nature much of Ward 4, is that at risk by the demand for housing, even some commercial development? And would you propose any measures to preserve the character of the area? And what exceptions would you make for, say, over 55 housing?
Okay, good question. I would preserve the way it is in Ward 4. Commercial, no. I don't think there's any spots for commercial. We have too much farmland. Now, for 55 and over, the people of the ward should make a decision. Let them come to the city council meeting. If they're for it, then fine. If not, then not. But I just think there's other locations for 55 and over, not Ward 4. We're too like in another. I feel like I'm in the state of New Hampshire or Maine, and it's so nice. But I would leave it as is, and I would not vote for any more future even single homes, whether it be 10, 12, 14 homes. I'd vote no.
All right, so give us a little bit of the background. How long have you lived in Haverhill?
Born and raised for 65 years. My work environment, if you want to know, I work in All-American Assisted Living up in Kingston, New Hampshire, but I've just got a job locally, and it's going to be hopefully permanent, Bethany Homes, here on Water Street in Haverhill, and I've talked to management, I've talked to the CEO. He says we need more of this, Kenny, and I'm going to push for that as a candidate. And I just think the latest developments, I know I'm going off track, the councils have voted for the past and the present, have voted for nobody for senior housing. We need that. And I am not too happy of all the projects that have been built. If I was on the council, I would have voted no on the one Lepoli's project. No, I would have voted no for the one over by the old abandoned skateland. And the Burrows, I would have voted no. But if it was for senior housing, I would have voted yes. So I'm two different sides. And to me, I just want to back up, and it's a shame we tore down skateland. Now I know Vargas and some other people are trying to bring back roller skating. We need that back in Haverhill. We should have never got rid of skateland. We need something for the youth of the city when. But that's another issue for another day.
All right, and now in one sentence, if you can do it, what motivated you to seek elected office again?
Because I don't like things that are being done in the city. And housing is priority with Kenny Quimby. Housing and raising our property taxes. The majority of the council supported the increase for the homeowner, which is wrong. And Haverhill is not affordable anymore. Everybody says Haverhill is. And I don't care, the councilors, if they're listening to this, you can be mad at me all you want. It's not affordable. I have to work 2 jobs to get by, and I'm just getting by as one person in a single home. And I have other folks that I work with, the same thing. They're just getting by, and they can't maybe not stay in Haverhill anymore. It's not affordable, and that's another reason why I'm running.
All right, and where can people learn more about you?
Okay, I have just an email address because my Facebook account has been hacked, and I'm having somebody come and help me with that. It's ken71960@netzero.com. Just email me. That's the best way for right now until hopefully I get my account back up in order at Facebook.
All right, Kevin.
Thank you.
Or Ken179?
71960@netzero.com. I apologize if I went too fast.
God, not a problem. I listened too slow. And as far as Ward 4 goes, what do you feel is the neighborhood's best feature, and what improvements would you like to see over in Ward 4?
Okay, Ward 4 is great. I think great at the castle. I know Mr. Tom Sullivan, he's on top of that. God bless Tom. I'm giving you a plug, Tom. And just keep nature the way it was. Plugs Pond, I can keep, that's kind of in my ward also. They're doing great there. Let's keep everything the way it is, just for activities for people in Haverhill and stuff going on. The ball fields are great down in Riverside. The stadium is in decent shape. I'm assuming it is, down in Riverside. So, yeah, I'd like to keep everything status quo, at least in that area, but no housing at all. And I'm going to be, if I happen not to make it, I'm not going away. Everybody thinks, Kenny, what happens? I am never going away. I'm going to be at the council meetings every week still. But thank you.
My pleasure to have you here, Ken Quimby Jr., candidate for Ward 4, City Council in Haverhill, our guest this morning, right here on The Wave, 97.9 WHAV. It is The Wave, 97.9 WHAV, and in the studio we have Guy Cooper, Ward 4 candidate for City Council. And Guy, good morning to you.
Good morning, Lynn.
Nice to have you here.
It's nice to be here.
We have a few questions to ask, and we are asking the same questions to all the people. And we'll start out with a simple one. How long have you lived in Haverhill?
I've been in Haverhill since about 1981. I went to St. Joseph's School, graduated from there, moved on to Haverhill High School, and then from there into the military.
And your day job now?
I'm happily and proudly retired from the Haverhill Police Department.
Well, that's okay. And in one sentence, what motivated you to run for elected office?
Well, the reason I've considered running for office, and this is now my third time, is just to continue with my civic duty to help the citizens of Haverhill that I've worked for the last 27 years for, and to keep it moving and keep it good.
All right. And as far as where people can learn more about you?
You can follow me on my Facebook page, which is Guy Cooper for Haverhill City Council Ward 4. That's also my Instagram. And you can email me at guyforhaverhill@gmail.com. And on there, it also has my personal phone number. If anybody has any questions, you can reach out to me, text or call.
All right. So as far as the questions go, Ward 4 is home to Holy Family Hospital Haverhill. What existing services do you wish to have and be retained there? Which ones would you advocate to be added or brought back? And how would you vote if housing or another use were proposed for part of the building or the campus?
Well, I can certainly say that I would like to see Haverhill, being such a big city, I'd like to see that hospital up and running a little bit more fuller than what it is. The service is a little bit more. It's a great location. I mean, we have a lot of cities and towns, and I really think that Haverhill needs to keep a hospital there. For part housing for that, I think we still need to take a long look at our infrastructure and what we can sustain at this time before we start adding.
City councilors have previously heard concerns over the lack of sidewalks and pedestrian crossings and perhaps the need for better traffic signals for drivers and pedestrians alike. And what improvements, if any, do you believe are needed and where for Ward 4?
Well, in Ward 4, I know it came up with down on, I believe, Amesbury Line Road at Merrimack Road, that there was an issue with stop sign, wide roads, people running in accidents. And being a police officer patrolling that area for several years, I think maybe a little bit more enforcement if we could get it down there. But on top of that, people really need to pay attention. There are stop signs, and they do need to stop and pay attention.
And are you in favor of locating a new Whittier Tech building on the campus of Northern Essex Community College? If Whittier Tech does relocate, what do you think is the best use for the current Whittier Tech campus?
Sadly, I wish that we had kept up on the upkeep of the building of the Whittier Tech. I think that's where Haverhill has lacked a lot in not doing and taking care of the buildings themselves until they fall to a part where they're in disarray. Moving it to Northern Essex, as long as we don't have to build another building there on the campus, I think it could be a good idea maybe for temporary until we can come up with a better idea of how to help the students at Whittier Tech, because I do 100% believe that we need a school, a technical school like that for the trades.
And Ward 4, there's the rural nature throughout much of Ward 4. And some feel it's at risk by the demand for housing and even some commercial development. Would you propose any measures to preserve the character of Ward 4? And what exceptions would you make for, say, over 55 housing?
Several years back, when I ran for mayor, I had advocated for 55 and over housing and strictly keep it for 55 and over housing. I grew up, when I first moved to Haverhill, I grew up in Ward 4. That was my area, the Riverside area. I know it very well, and a lot of people that I know that actually come to the city, they're either inside the city and they're like, well, you got a city, and then not even a couple miles down the road, it's wide open, beautiful country. And I've been an advocate for open space. I'd like to keep what we have. In to develop it more into commercial, I think that would be on a, as they come in to see what you actually have proposed before we build anything on any of that property and figure out what it's actually going to be for.
And what do you feel are the neighborhood's best features? And are there any improvements you'd like to see made?
Well, a lot of the neighborhood, I'd like to see, maybe a little bit more better roadways down there, because some of those back roads are a little rough, but they're not too bad. I would like to see a little bit more of that. But the atmosphere and the keep of the housing down there, and I know a lot of people want to keep what they have and keep that kind of privacy and not have houses upon houses on top of each other.
All right. Well, again, you want to give your contact information?
Yeah. Again, you can follow me on Facebook or my Instagram, and that is Guy for Haverhill, City Council Ward 4. And then my email is guyforhaverhill@gmail.com. Again, reach out. My phone number is on there. You can reach out to me personally. Send me a message of what your concerns may be or any questions you may have of me, and I'd be more than happy to answer them all.
Excellent. Well, Guy, I want to thank you for stopping into the WHAV studio.
Well, thank you, Wynn, for having me. I appreciate it.
All right. Guy Cooper, candidate for Ward 4. He is in the preliminary election. The preliminary election coming up a week from today. So that's the situation at this time. It is 8:27, and it's Win for Breakfast here on the Wave 97.9 WHAV. It is the Wave 97.9 WHAV, and in the studio is Melissa Lewandowski, and she is the current Ward 4 City Councilor in Haverhill. And Melissa, good morning to you.
Good morning to you. Thanks for having me.
Oh, it's a pleasure to have you here. And the reason that we're talking to the candidates, the preliminary election coming up on Tuesday, we had City Clerk Caitlin Wright in a couple of weeks ago, and there's only 2 contested races for the preliminary coming up on Tuesday, right. And you happen to be in one of them.
Yes, indeed I do.
So we have a few questions for you, and but we'll start out with the easy one. How long have you lived in Haverhill?
Oh, I am a Hilly through and through. Born in Haverhill, raised in Haverhill, moved away shortly to Boston for my undergrad and my law degree, then moved home, made my home here. So my whole life. Parents still live here. Grandparents lived here. I live in the house that my grandparents lived in. So deep roots, Win. Deep roots.
Oh, great. Make sure that you don't hit the table over there.
Oh.
There we go.
Be careful with the equipment.
You got to be careful. Now, as far as your day job goes, why don't you explain what that is?
So I am a lawyer, and I represent children in child welfare cases, which is neglect and abuse cases that involve the Department of Children and Families.
And if you can, in one sentence, what motivated you to run for office?
One sentence for a lawyer, that's tough. Okay. Community over self. That is the nature of my public service, my entire professional career prior to running for office, and this is an extension of that.
Now, how can people learn more about you?
Well, I have a Facebook page dedicated to City Council. So Melissa Lewandowski, Haverhill City Councilor. You can find me on Facebook there. I have a website, melissaforhaverhill.com, which the Facebook page directs you to as well. And there's some contact information on that page, as well as email. And then, of course, through the city. You can always get in touch with me through the city.
Now, as far as Ward 4 goes, Ward 4 is home to Holy Family Hospital, and that Holy Family Hospital Haverhill. And what existing services do you wish to be retained there, and which ones would you advocate to be added or brought back, and how would you vote if housing or another use were proposed for part of the building or campus?
Great question, and that has been on my mind. Right now what's been retained is emergency services, but that is certainly not enough for the community and not what I would like to see. I know that they've also retained blood work, the blood lab and some radiology. But ideally, I would like to see geriatric services there, a geriatric ward, particularly geriatric and mental health, patients who have Alzheimer's and dementia. I would like to see that. I would like to see prenatal brought back because I think that's obviously a very important aspect that people need access to. It would be great to have a breast imaging lab as part of that, as part of some women's health care. That would be available there. I think that the radiology department, while it is intact, my understanding from talking to some nurses that are boots on the ground, both at Holy Family and other hospitals in the area, is that a lot of times what primary care physicians are finding is that they're sending tests there, whether it be for x-ray, CAT scan, blood work, and they don't get them back within a timely period of time to be able to make a diagnosis. It takes 2-3 days. There's a long wait. So I'd like to see that particular area, which is intact there, enhanced so that doctors can get results sooner and that so patients can get treatment sooner. The housing piece of it, if housing was proposed there, I think that it would have to be senior housing, and I'd ideally like to see that in conjunction with some type of rehabilitative area for seniors. We have some senior housing going in on Katsaris Drive, which is right next to the hospital. So it would make sense to have an over 55 area there as well for some smaller housing that linked up to some services that the hospital was providing.
City councilors have previously heard concerns over a lack of sidewalks and pedestrian crossings, and perhaps the need for better traffic signals for drivers and pedestrians alike in Ward 4. And what improvements, if any, do you believe are needed, and where?
Well, this is very timely because I just had an agenda item on about Amesbury Line Road. I've been out there many times to visit the residents because there were a lot of complaints about people going too fast. The way that the intersection is configured makes it very confusing for folks. There had been accidents there, etc. I actually, when I went up there, true story, I almost got hit by a car going in the opposite direction because of the way that the stop sign currently is. You have to inch pretty far out into the intersection. So we put that on the agenda. We had a very robust discussion about it involving city engineer as well as the police department and the mayor's office, and they were very responsive, and we got some improvements made there. We have some different signage. We are going to enhance that, and also I spoke to the police department recently on this, and we're going to be changing the intersection to make it smaller so that people will be able to see better when they go out. It won't be so much of a wide berth to have to navigate around. We're going to move the signs. We're going to have some flashing beacons, and we also have enhanced enforcement up there, and that's going quite well now that school is back in session, so people know they're going to get ticketed if they're going too fast.
Are you in favor of locating a new Whittier Tech building on the campus of Northern Essex Community College? And if Whittier Tech does relocate, what do you feel would be the best use for the current Whittier Tech campus?
Of course, I'm in favor of that. Whittier, the combination of Whittier on the and NECO together, that if that goes through, is going to redefine the way that we prepare our students for success in education and in career. And of course, doing that is going to open up more seats, which is then going to open up more training for kids, which is then going to open up more economic growth, which is then in turn going to lower the taxes for our citizens, hopefully. This is the progression. There are lots of places that we have to stop on the way to get to that, and this is an important piece of that. The cost of the original Whittier that they were going to redo was too high, and so, there was a pivot. And this was the proposal. I think it's a wonderful proposal. It's going to take time to go through, the state process in terms of the funding. And there's a lot of collaboration that has to be done prior to that as to what it's going to be, whether it's going to be, like a polytechnic, or if it's just going to be that we're sharing space with NECO and it's going to be a shared campus. So those things are going to be conversations that's happening along the way, but absolutely 100% in favor of that because it's part of the big picture.
And finally, Ward 4 is a lot of it's a rural nature. And is the rural nature of Ward 4 at risk by the demand for housing and perhaps some commercial development? And would you propose any measures to preserve the character of the area And what exceptions would you make for, say, 55 over 55 housing?
It is rural, and that's one of the lovely things about Ward 4 is that we have that aspect. That's something that I was very much involved with in the Amesbury Line Road area when there was a lot of commercial being proposed there, and we talked about some zoning changes which actually went through to keep that a portion of that particular area residential, because that's the nature of that area, despite the fact that it was zoned differently. So I am committed to that. I am the chairperson of the Natural Resources and Public Properties Committee, so it is a tenet of my life and of my political life to protect those things. I think, in terms of is it at risk? It's not at it's not at risk as long as we continue to do, and I will continue to do, the things that I have done, which is to have tighter control over our zoning ordinances, to change things when we need to see them change in order to allow for smaller development and not as much impactful on wildlife and residential, and also have tighter control over what kind of developments go in. I certainly don't want to see our beautiful ward lose that residential aspect and rural aspect.
And you've mentioned a lot, but what do you feel are the ward's best features for Ward 4, and any improvements you'd like to see?
Well, best features are the people, of course. I mean, no, really, I say that really, that is really what it is. I mean, it really has a small town feel to it, Ward 4, even though we're part of a larger city. Obviously, I think that there's a comfort to that. A lot of the people that I know in Ward 4 are people that have lived there generationally, just like me, their entire lives. It really has a neighborhood feel. Some of the great things, I mean, I can rattle them all off. It's not even, I don't think you have enough time, but we have the stadium, we have, Winnie Kinney, we have the lakes, we have Plugs Pond, we have recreational spots, we have the hospital, which we're working on, getting that even better than it is right now. We have the stadium. I have a little pet project along with the city of Zinn's Playground, the old Zinn's Playground, reimagining that as a playground for children. We have restaurants. We have Market Basket. We have what I would argue is the best Dunks in the city that I go to every morning. So, I mean, there are all kinds of great things in Ward 4, as anyone, I think. Well, we have the marina as well. Beautiful view of the Merrimack. We have the Eagle's Nest. I mean, it's got it all. And, of course, I'm biased. I've lived here my entire life. But I love this ward. I love the city, and that's why I'm running again.
All right. Well, Melissa, I want to thank you for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
And good luck in the preliminary election coming up on Tuesday. Melissa Lewandowski, who is running for Ward 4 City Council, and trying to get through the preliminary election on Tuesday to get towards the general election coming up in November. Our guest this morning right here on the WHAV, 97.9 WHAV.
Wake up with Wynn Damon weekdays from 6 to 9 a.m. on 97.9 FM WHAV.